Hi, I'm Ido with lakeFS, and today we're going to install lakeFS locally very quickly. And the first thing that we need is a timer. So let's start. In order to run lakeFS locally on a Docker container, what we need is to run this command. Docker run pull reverse lakeFS and run this with the local settings. This will run lakeFS locally. And once we run this, we get this beautiful UI that sends us to set up our server. Let's set up our server. We're going to decide on an administrator user, admin in my case, and we get an access key and a secret key to log into. Let's go. We'll add the access key and the secret key. We'll insert that as well. And we are logged into lakeFS. We have a lakeFS server fully running. How are we looking here? Okay, not bad at all. So 46 seconds. That's pretty good. Now I can create my first repository in lakeFS. And you might notice that here I can only put a local namespace because I created the local installation that points locally. But nevertheless, I have here a repository that I can upload objects to, branch, merge, commit, compare branches, all the goodness of lakeFS. But let's say that next, what I actually want to do is I want to run lakeFS locally to test it, to get a look and feel for it. But I want to use it against my own storage. In my case, I'm going to use S3. So let's try and do that. In order to do that, the first thing that we need is a bucket where lakeFS can actually point to. And then we're going to start lakeFS with environment variables that tell it to actually not use the local storage, but point to S3. So let's do that. I'll stop this installation and we'll start setting up our S3 bucket. And just for sport, let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to create a bucket. Let's create a bucket. The name of my bucket is going to be Ido lakeFS video, because that's what we're creating here. So I'm going to call this Ido lakeFS video. I'm going to use all the default settings here. You can read in our documentation about what those are. There's nothing special here. You just don't want public access and things like that. Once I have my bucket, I'm going to set the permissions for this bucket. I'm going to do that by literally copying this from my document over here, the lakeFS documentation. Oh, I think I have an extra space here, so I'll remove my space. I will make sure that I I give this access to my bucket, which is Ido lakeFS video. Ido lakeFS video, and I'm going to use my IAM. Here we go. This is me. And I'll save this. Great. Good. So now we have the bucket that we can use, and now I can run lakeFS against that bucket. The only difference is, again, that we need to send the right environment variables to tell lakeFS to point to S3. Those are lakeFS block store type is S3, and we need to add a AWS access key and an AWS secret key. Now, if you guys don't mind, I actually don't want to insert those here in this recording. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write these right here on the side without sharing my screen. And there we go. And now it's loading. And now I have, again, the setup. So let's go and set up lakeFS. I'm going to use admin again. And let's go and log in with our access key and our secret key. Perfect. Good. And how are we doing here? Good. So at less than 3 minutes, we installed lakeFS twice, once locally and once with S3, pointing to S3. Now that I'm pointing to S3, I can actually create a repository that's going to look in my bucket. I think we called it Ido lakeFS video. So let's do that. I'm going to create a repository with my main branch. So this is how you start with lakeFS. And typically the next step will be to import data. So I can click here on import, and I'm going to point to a bucket that I want to import from. I have, for example, an import bucket that has some Parquet files. I'll create here an import, and that will import the objects. And now I have in my repository 2 branches, one that includes the imported files that, again, are some Parquet files with Amazon reviews in this case. I can compare the 2 branches, and I can basically merge my imported data into main, which I just did. And I'm ready to go with my files in my main branch in lakeFS, running locally, pointing to my S3 bucket. That's it. Good luck. Hope you enjoy lakeFS.